All right, let's jump right into a story a lot of us think we know inside and out, the 2005 sale of Graceland. But, the material we're digging into today paints a very different picture, one that suggests the story we've been told, mostly by Priscilla Presley herself, might be missing some huge pieces. So let's get into it. So this quote right here, this is basically the official story in a nutshell. It's the image of Priscilla Presley, totally heartbroken, forced to watch as her daughter Lisa Marie sells off a huge chunk of Elvis Presley Enterprises. It paints her as this pained, passive observer, right? And for years, that's the narrative we've all heard. But here's the question that flips this whole thing on its head. Was she really just watching from the sidelines? Or was she actually a key player, maybe even one of the architects of the whole situation? This is where the official story starts to unravel. To really understand what went down in 2005, we've got to rewind the clock. The argument here is that Priscilla Presley's powerful role in the Presley estate wasn't something she was just handed. No, it was a position she worked to secure for years. Okay, so check out the sequence of events, because this is really important. When Elvis died, he left everything to Lisa Marie. Priscilla wasn't even in the will. But then, after Elvis's dad Vernon passed away, Priscilla, as Lisa Marie's mom and legal guardian, gets named a trustee. The source material suggests this was her way in. And by '82, when Graceland opened, she had totally positioned herself as the face of the entire operation. All right, let's fast forward back to that huge 2005 deal, the one where 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises got sold off. The analysis we're looking at puts Priscilla's public statements from around that time right under a microscope, and it is fascinating. And here it is, claim number one. It's a line Priscilla has used over and over. Lisa Marie had to sell because she was just flat out broke. It's a really simple, really powerful story that puts all the responsibility right on Lisa Marie's shoulders. But the analysis here makes a crucial distinction. Lisa Marie wasn't broke in the way you and I think of it. She was asset rich. I mean, she owned Graceland, but she was cash poor. And here's the kicker. The argument is that Priscilla, as a longtime trustee, had a direct hand in creating the very financial setup that led to that cash flow problem to begin with. And here we are again, back to the emotional core of her whole story, the claim that she was devastated by the sale. It's a statement that's perfectly designed to make you feel for her, to see her as the guardian of the legacy, not as someone who might benefit from a business transaction. So the analysis here says, okay, let's compare the words to the actions. I mean, if you're truly devastated by something, do you stay on the board of the new company? Do you keep collecting a paycheck and showing up at press events as the happy public face? The point being made is that these actions just don't seem to line up with the story of a heartbroken victim. Okay, and this is another key part of her story. She sets herself up as the concerned mom, worried about her daughter's financial team. But she says the situation was just too delicate to get involved. It makes her sound super caring, but it also completely lets her off the hook for how things turned out. And this just leads to the most obvious question, right? If you genuinely think your child is surrounded by sharks and is about to make a terrible mistake with a global legacy, would you really just say it's delicate? Wouldn't you use every ounce of that influence you'd spent decades building to stop it? So let's see how this all starts to fit together. The argument being made is that the 2005 sale wasn't just a one-time thing. Instead, it was just one move in a long-term strategy to control the entire Elvis narrative, a strategy the author calls the Priscilla playbook. Now, the foundation for this playbook was apparently laid way back in 1985 with her book, Elvis and Me. That memoir was absolutely instrumental in shaping her public image. It positioned her not as Elvis's ex-wife, which technically she was, but as his one true love, the official widow, and the real keeper of his flame. And that brings us to this three-step playbook that the analysis lays out. It's pretty straightforward. Step 1, frame yourself. You're either the hero who saved Graceland, or you're the victim, like in the 2005 sale. Step 2, assign blame. Point the finger at Lisa Marie for making bad choices. And finally, step 3, solidify your own role as the absolute center of the Elvis universe. And get this, the argument is that this strategy is still in play right now. Her upcoming book, due out in 2025, is reportedly going to talk all about the 2005 sale. And the framing, you guessed it, it's about how devastated she was. It's the perfect bookend to a 40-year strategy of controlling the story. So as we start to wrap this up, we get to the real heart of the argument. How did this one version of the story become so dominant, and what is its lasting impact? A really critical piece of this puzzle was Lisa Marie's public silence on it all. I mean, sure, she admitted to having money problems, but she almost never went on the record to push back against her mom's version of events. The perspective here is that this silence created a vacuum, and Priscilla was more than happy to fill it with her own narrative, completely unchallenged. And that brings us to the final conclusion presented in this material, that Priscilla Presley was never a victim of circumstance. She was a sharp, strategic player who used her position, her daughter's inheritance, and ultimately her daughter's silence to make sure she stayed in control of the Elvis legacy and, more importantly, her own central place within it. So we are left with this one final question, a question posed by the material itself. When we hear these stories of devastation and heartbreak from Priscilla, are we listening to an honest recounting of history, or are we actually witnessing a masterfully executed, decades-long strategy? It's a question that really changes how you see the entire story of Graceland. Thanks for tuning in.